So, Zero, the Spider-Man PC port came out last Friday, I believe. And am I right on that? Was it last Friday or was it last week?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Okay.
because I remember that was when the banners went up on Steam.
Oh, good. Okay. Um, and as such, of course, the game got data mined. And as it got data mined, some people noticed some interesting things within the code. The one thing that they noticed is that apparently PlayStation had files alluding to a PC launcher that they had within the files of Spider-Man Remastered. As this was shown, rumors started going around that apparently in the new games that are coming out from PlayStation, you're probably going to have a PlayStation Network account in order to play those PC games. That's rumored, but the files found in the Spider-Man Remastered is true. That was definitely found within the data mine when it came to Spider-Man Remastered. Zero, are you looking forward to having another PC launcher on your PC if and when this happens?
Not really, mostly because just it's just bad enough. But I presume that this is more Sony trying to get PC players involved with their new PlayStation Stars program, which is the for anyone who's forgotten, we talked about it maybe a couple episodes ago, but it's essentially kind of like a Club Nintendo sort of program where you'll have achievements in games that you can chase after for points, and then you can redeem those points for actual material rewards. So things like maybe a set of coasters with some artwork from a game, or maybe something more premium and nice, like just a real big statue that retail value is maybe like $100. So that might be one of those extreme rewards that you've just got to have like a crazy shit ton of points. So that's really where I kind of see this decision to um, make a PlayStation launcher just something to be able to do sort of play in metrics tracking to try to get PC players involved on the PlayStation Stars program that's supposedly supposed to be debuting later this year.
I got a question for you, Zero. Um,
Yeah.
do you think this has anything to do with the PS Plus being revamped to have those tiers? Maybe to, even though they're saying they're not competing with Game Pass, to essentially compete with Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, I could potentially see this being sort of a gateway, especially if Sony wants to feel like that they can kind of keep toe to toe with Microsoft and Game Pass. I could see something like, "Hey, don't own a PS4 or don't own a PS5, but want to play the vintage PS Plus games on PS Premium? Well, here you go. Just now we've got a emulator that plays our proprietary encrypted files, so
Yeah,
you can run this game at full FPS the way you want and all this other junk."
right.
So I could potentially see that being sort of a path to shoehorn in this sort of functionality.
Some were saying or alluding to this that if they do this, then what everyone's thinking is then you'll be able to play either PlayStation 5 games from the cloud onto your PC, which is possible. But they also said that, oh, then if you buy, let's say, Gran Turismo 7 and they bring a PC port, you'll just get the PC port automatically on the PS launcher. That's great. No, that ain't happening. They'll make you purchase it again. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Because they could have easily done that with Spider-Man Remastered with Steam. Because I think few people remember this, but there is a link to Steam and the PlayStation Network. Do you remember where that came from?
Yes, Half-Life, the orange box.
No, Portal 2.
Portal 2 even. Okay.
Because what happened was, and I remember this, because I remember this when I was doing was looking for news stories. When Portal 2 came out, this was a little bit after, I believe, Gabe Newell apologized for his comments about the PS3 and how it was, I guess, garbage hardware, essentially. And he went on stage on PlayStation, and he basically announced that Portal 2 is coming to PS3. It was also coming to 360. But if you purchased it on PlayStation 3 and you linked your Steam account, you got Portal 2 for free on PC. So there are probably a lot of people who are still linked to Steam through their PSN account. They could have easily just gave you Spider-Man Remastered for free, and they didn't. Why? Because you'll pay for it. That's why. So
Yep.
those who are thinking, oh, here comes Sony is going to do the pro-consumer thing by giving us free PC ports, guys, get real. I mean, that's not going to happen. And right now, Sony is not in the what do you call it? The pro-consumer mode right now. They're back into PS2 to PS3 mode where their shit don't stink and they're going to do anything they can get away with. That's where they're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not in a charitable mood, and that's
Ooh.
apparently clear, especially with consideration that PS Plus Premium made big promises about putting out a whole bunch of vintage games, and well, just this new month cycle of PS Plus hasn't really had any major vintage announcements. So take that for what you will.
I know. And then with a lot of, like, the one I was looking forward to was Tactics Ogre's Let Us Cling Together for PSP. But since that's being redone into Tactics Ogre Reborn, which priced at $50, you can get real on that. That's like the only PSP game I'm sort of interested in playing, maybe Dissidia, but I also have those games, so I don't need to really get the PSN version, essentially. So not only are they not putting out a lot of vintage stuff, the stuff they're showing isn't that interesting. As much as I like Jumping Flash, Jumping Flash is not that hot anymore, so that's not one of the games that would really interest me. Myself, I would say, particularly. And I don't think it interests much people either on that sense.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like Jumping Flash was a curiosity for its time, and I mean, it's kind of interesting to visit as a historical curiosity, but yeah, it's not any sort of award-winning gameplay by any means, at least in the modern day.
Oh, yeah. And even when it was out, it kind of looked like crap, to be absolutely honest with you. But it's just a charming enough game. Like, you play a robot bunny that shoots things. But because it was charming is why it really gained any kind of a following. And it was a very small following. Because I think they did Jumping Flash 2, and that didn't do so hot. So, yeah, I mean... But anyway, back to what it is. Yeah, this is essentially Sony. I think I would be surprised if they announced, like at the Game Awards this year, to a certain extent, that they're doing this. They're having a PC launcher, and you'll get those games. You could still get them on Steam, but you have to sign into the PlayStation Network in order to do that, to a certain extent. Or they could just make God of War Ragnarok a PS launcher exclusive and do it that way. So
Yeah, and I think that is really the more plausible play. Just big tentpole game to introduce the new PlayStation launcher, and then just grab all the people who have loved the PlayStation Studios branded games on PC and just say, oh, well, you want to play real PlayStation games? There's only one place to get all the PlayStation games, and that's going to be on the new PlayStation PC launcher.
yeah, and then watch if that happens. Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 is probably going to go on that launcher. I mean, we're looking at the PC. We're probably going to look at the PC separating even more on the, like, when it comes to those launchers, like with Epic and Origin and Steam and all that, and GOG. I just see that happening more and more because Sony is not in a place of weakness, and they still don't feel like they are. They feel like they can do whatever they want. That is why Microsoft is being so pro-consumer right now. Because, look, I like what Microsoft is doing, but if they didn't get their asses handed to them on the Xbox One, they wouldn't be doing any of this. So they're not doing this because, hey, we're pro-consumer. It's like, no, they needed to do it, or else they would have lost whatever else they had. So that's it. Because I keep saying this, but once they get enough people, they're going to raise the price of Game Pass. I know that for a fact. So, yeah, I mean, but anyway, it's interesting. This is an interesting thing that they found. I wouldn't be surprised by next year if it was released. But yeah, anything more to add?
No, just I think that's um, it's just going to be real interesting to see where this PC launcher potentially goes, or if it even becomes a thing. Because who knows? Just Sony may just end up researching it and going, "Hey, you know what? It's too hard to run our own PC storefront. Let's just fucking keep it simple and just run it on Steam, and then just have a PlayStation API to connect to achievements and to our PlayStation Stars program." So, because what people don't realize is sometimes data mine stuff is not always final.
That's true.
Sometimes it's just concept stuff that they're just like, hey, this is kind of an idea we're banging on, and then later down the line, it might go. Whoever's managing the programs might go, ooh, actually, you know what? That's not a good idea. Let's just go ahead and cancel that idea.
Yeah.
So, I guess I would leave people with a warning of just take this with a grain of salt for now, and until Sony announces anything official, then at that point you can start making your guesses and assumptions on how things will proceed on forward from there.
Right. And you're absolutely right. This could also never happen. It could be just something that they worked on and they just left it there and they just forgot to take the code out. That's perfectly plausible, sure. But if you ask me, I think this is more than likely going to happen. And, I wouldn't be surprised if it did, basically.